Have you ever wanted a map for your own mind? Well, today we're diving into one that's thousands of years old. It comes from the ancient yogic model of consciousness, and trust me, it offers an absolutely incredible way to understand our own inner world. So let's just start with this one question. Think about your mind, like right now. Does it feel like a chaotic, stormy sea, just waves of thoughts and feelings crashing all over the place? Or is it more like a calm, really clear lake? That feeling, that distinction, is the key to this whole ancient framework we're about to unpack. All right, so in yogic philosophy, the big foundational idea for the mind is a word called chitta. Now, the best way to think about chitta is as the mind stuff itself, the whole field of your consciousness. It's not just the thoughts and feelings, it's the entire lake that those waves appear in. So, to really understand that whole lake, we first got to look at all the activity happening right on the surface. And this ancient system has this really fascinating way of categorizing all that mental noise into something it calls thought waves. These waves are called vrittis. A vritti is basically any little ripple, any fluctuation in that lake of your consciousness. We're talking every single thought, every emotion, every perception, every memory you experience from one moment to the next. It's just the constant churn of the mind. And here's where this whole framework becomes so powerful, because it's so simple. Yogic philosophy says that all of that endless mental chatter, every single thought wave, can be neatly sorted into just 5 basic categories. That's it, just 5. And here they are. First up, you've got pramana, which is just correct knowledge, stuff you know is true. Second is viparya, or misconception, when you just get it wrong. Third is vikalpa, which is pure imagination, thinking about, say, a purple elephant. Fourth is nidra, or deep sleep. And yep, even being totally out of it is considered a mental state here. And number 5 is smriti, or memory, just recalling things that happened. Seriously, that's the whole list. Everything you think fits into one of these 5 buckets. Now, to make this super clear, let's look at that classic example of viparya, or misconception. Imagine you're walking in a dark room and you suddenly jump back, your heart pounding because you see a snake. But then you flip on the light and, oh, it was just a coil of rope. That initial incorrect fearful thought, that was a vritti of misconception. But wait, it gets even deeper. You see, any of those 5 thought waves can come in one of 2 flavors. They can be klishta, which means painful or afflicted. These are the thoughts tied up in ego and anger that really make us suffer. Or they can be aklishta, which means non-painful. These are the thoughts we just observe with a bit of detachment, and they lead to clarity. So the exact same memory, right? It can either totally torment you, or it can be a source of wisdom. It all depends on your relationship to it. It's an ancient insight, but it's also incredibly modern. This is the very foundation of things like cognitive behavioral therapy. Okay, so we've looked at the waves, the vrittis. But those waves don't just happen in a vacuum. They happen within the bigger context of the lake. So what about the overall condition of the water itself? This is where we go deeper, from the surface stuff to the underlying state of the mind. This underlying state is called a bhumi. The word literally means ground. So a chitta-bhumi is the ground state of your mind, its general temperament, its overall quality. This isn't just a passing thought. This is the prevailing mood of your consciousness. The first state, and boy, I think we all know this one very well, is kshipta, the restless mind. The ancient commentators had this perfect metaphor for it. They called it a restless monkey, just constantly jumping from one thought to the next, one desire to the next, one worry to the next. Good luck trying to concentrate when you're in this state. Then you've got the complete opposite, the mudha state. This is the dull, kind of torpid mind. It's when you feel sluggish, foggy, totally confused. Your mind is just governed by inertia. The metaphor here is like a stone just sinking into the water. It's heavy and there's just no clarity. Now, the third state is vikshipta, the occasionally steady mind. In this one, this is probably where most of us live most of the time. You have these moments of focus, right? Moments of peace, but then they're just gone, lost to distraction. It's exactly like a candle flame flickering in the wind. It's steady for a second, and then it's all over the place. But through practices like meditation, you can start to cultivate the fourth state, ekagra, the one-pointed mind. Here, the mind is so deeply concentrated it can just rest on a single thing without wavering. And the image for this one is beautiful. It's like a steady, unbroken stream of oil being poured. So smooth.
And finally, we get to Niruddha, the fully restrained mind. This is basically the ultimate state described in yoga. In this state, all the mental waves, all the vrittis, they just stop. The surface of the lake becomes perfectly still, like a sheet of glass, and it reveals the pure awareness that was always there underneath it all.
All right, now we get to the part that really brings all of this together and makes it so incredibly useful in our actual daily lives. This is the key distinction, right here.
And here it is. Those vrittis, the moment-to-moment thoughts and feelings, they're like the weather. They just come and they go. A thunderstorm of anger, a light breeze of happiness, a fog of confusion. But the bhumis, those underlying states, that's the climate. That's the long-term, enduring condition of your mind. Is your internal climate generally stormy and turbulent, or is it typically calm and temperate?
So, to put it as simply as possible, vrittis are the fleeting waves, like a passing thought of seer. Bhumis are the persistent states, like a generally anxious temperament. The vrittis are the daily weather report. The bhumis are the overall climate of the region.
Okay, but so what? Why does this distinction actually matter? What's the real practical point of knowing the difference between your mental weather and your mental climate?
Well, it all comes back to the absolute core definition of yoga itself, which you find right in the second verse of the Yoga Sutras. Yoga is the cessation of the modifications of the mind. It's all about stilling those vrittis, stilling those waves.
And here is the really profound insight this whole framework gives us. The real aim of a practice like yoga isn't just about managing the daily weather of your mind, trying to stop every angry thought or chase down every happy one. It's about fundamentally changing the entire climate. It's about transforming that underlying state, the bhumi, so that peace and clarity become your mind's new normal, its new default setting. And that is the real journey. It's this conscious, deliberate shift in your inner climate, moving from that restless Chitta state toward the one-pointed and ultimately the restrained Niruddha state. It's about transforming that turbulent sea into a perfectly clear mirror. It's a shift from being a prisoner of your thoughts to a state of real, true inner freedom. So we're going to end right where we began, but with a whole new lens. Don't just ask about the weather, the passing thoughts and feelings. Take a real moment and ask yourself, what is the overall climate of my mind today? And what would it take to make that climate just a little more peaceful?